You see Russia, Iran, and Israel in the news? Feels very 21st century, right? But what if I told you the blueprint for this was drawn up 2,600 years ago? That's what we're digging into today. We're looking at the prophecy of Gog and Magog to figure out if what we're seeing right now is the stage being set. I mean, really think about it. Russia, Iran, Israel, it sounds like it was ripped straight from today's headlines. But what if the prophet Ezekiel basically laid out this exact scenario thousands of years ago? That's the big question we're tackling here. And we'll be looking at it through the lens of teachers like Arnold Fruchtenbaum and Chuck Missler. So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at Ezekiel's original prophecy, the blueprint, if you will, and see who the players are supposed to be. Then we'll connect it to today and ask, is this it? Is the stage set? We'll also cover what's not happening yet. And finally, what this all means for us. You know, how to think about prophecy without freaking out. All right, let's get into it. What did Ezekiel actually say? Well, if you open up his book to chapters 38 and 39, you'll find this incredible description of a massive invasion of Israel, sometime in the future. Now, the way this is often interpreted, and the view we're looking at, is that this isn't some metaphor. No, this is talking about a literal, boots-on-the-ground invasion in the future. You've got this leader called Gog from a place called Magog who gets a bunch of nations together to attack Israel. But, and this is the key part, they get wiped out by God himself, supernaturally, in a way the whole world can't ignore. But here's where it gets really, really interesting. Ezekiel doesn't just say an invasion is coming. He gives a very specific checklist of what Israel will look like right before it all goes down. Let's walk through those preconditions. Okay, condition number 1, the people have to be back in the land. They have to be regathered from many nations where they'd been scattered for centuries. This is, the first big piece of the puzzle. Second, the nation will have been restored from the sword. What does that mean? It means they've come back from the brink. They've reformed as a nation after some really intense, life-threatening persecution and war. Third, and this one's a little tricky, they'll be living securely. Now, that probably doesn't mean zero problems. It suggests more of a perceived peace, a sense of security. Ezekiel describes them living in unwalled villages. Think about it. In his day, walls were everything. So he's basically describing a modern country with open cities and towns, not ancient walled fortresses. And number 4, the last condition. The land will be rich. It'll be prosperous, with a lot of wealth and resources. So much, in fact, that it becomes a target. It's the motive for the invasion, to come and take spoil and plunder. So you look at that checklist, and then you look at Israel today. Does it fit? Well, you've got the regathering since 1948. Check. The nation is definitely militarily strong. And prosperous? I mean, it's a global hub for tech and energy. Those huge natural gas fields in the Mediterranean, that sounds a lot like the spoil Ezekiel was talking about, doesn't it? Okay, so the stage seems to be set in Israel, but what about the other side of the equation? Who exactly are these invaders? Ezekiel actually calls them out by name. Let's start with the guy in charge, Gog. Now, it's important to understand that Gog probably isn't a personal name. It's more like a title, like Tsar or President. It refers to the leader of this big power block coming from way up north of Israel. And Gog isn't coming alone. He's got a whole coalition with him. This is where we connect the ancient names to modern places. Magog and Rosh are generally identified as being in the area of modern-day Russia to the far north. Persia, well, that one's easy. It's modern Iran to the east. Cush points to the region of Sudan to the south, and Put is linked with Libya and North Africa out to the west. So step back and look at the map this creates. You've got Israel right in the middle, and then you have this invading force coming at it from all sides. A leader from the north, an ally from the east, one from the south, and another from the west. It's a total encirclement. And this is where it all comes together. We have the ancient blueprint, we have the list of players. So how does all of that stack up against what's happening in the world right now? It's the question on everyone's mind, right? Are we watching the prelude, or has the main event already started? Let's do a quick side-by-side. Today, what do we see? We see proxy wars, we see intelligence sharing, a ton of tension. It's messy, but it's not a full-scale invasion. What does Ezekiel describe? A gigantic, unified army marching openly into Israel, and then being so utterly destroyed by God that it takes 7 months just to bury the bodies. Yeah, we are definitely not there yet. But there is one thing that's making everyone lean forward. And that's the Russia-Iran connection. Remember, Ezekiel put Magog and Persia on the same team. For most of history, that didn't make a lot of sense. But today, Russia and Iran are in an open strategic alliance. They're sharing weapons, tech, everything. This is new. And if you're looking at this through a prophetic lens, that is a huge deal. So, okay, if we agree that what's happening now is probably just setting the stage, what's still missing? What pieces of the puzzle haven't fallen into place yet? Well, there are three really big ones. First, that sense of security in Israel. There needs to be some kind of peace or calm that makes the invaders think Israel is an easy target. Second, the invasion itself has to be a unified, organized army marching on Israel, not this web of proxies and militias we see today. And third, the finale, the big one, the supernatural, undeniable act of God that wipes that army off the map. Which brings us to the most important question of all, really. Why? What's the point of a prophecy like this in the first place? The general takeaway from the teachers we've been looking at is pretty clear. What we're seeing today looks a whole lot like preparation, not fulfillment. The chess pieces are being moved into position, for sure, but the game hasn't started yet. And maybe that's the real point. Prophecy isn't meant to be a roadmap to panic, so we can all worry about dates on a calendar. It's meant to build our trust, to show us that history isn't just a series of random accidents, but that it's heading somewhere specific. And when you see these ancient words lining up with modern headlines, it's supposed to give you confidence, not anxiety, a deeper trust in the God who has it all under control.